Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Take Two. A great episode, crazy episode, in fact, with a lot of twists and turns. Obviously, we have this focusing on a dude named Todd. Interestingly enough, is it Samus Daver? What is it? The actor who plays Ryan from Castle. I was like, what? That's crazy. That's so cool. It just is kind of pretty neat seeing him in this. Interesting enough, the actor who plays his brother Hugh is played by Zane from Eureka. I don't know why I kind of stumbled on that for a little bit. But nevertheless, it turns out Todd actually is in his circumstances because he's actually being hunted by hitmen. But it turns out this is a hitman that he hired for himself because he thought he was dying, and to make sure that his family could have the life insurance policy because it doesn't get covered by suicide, he hired his hitman to kill him. But it turns out he was misdiagnosed, and now he doesn't want to die, but he can't track down the hitman because he did too much of a good job of going on the dark web and hiring this hitman, and there's no paper trail to lead to this hitman, so it turns into a whole thing, which is crazy to me. That's the turn of events. And so Sam and Eddie are trying to help him out and everything, keep him covered while this is all going down. I even love the whole side thing in this episode being Monica giving him a psychological test, because for him he has a hard time determining who he is, because it's really sad in the long run, because it's all of this was about him trying to be better, because it's I got a second chance at life, because it turns out I got misdiagnosed. But for him, it's he spent so much time not being a good husband or father because he got so caught up in work and stuff like that. And now that's why he's trying extra hard not to die this time. And turns out, what I didn't expect, because it happens halfway through the episode, it's wow, you caught the dude already. The dude's name is Azriel, but his real name is Avery, but he's a hitman. He trapped Eddie and Sam in that fenced up cage with electricity flowing through it. And then Sam's oh my God, I'm going to die here. She takes off her jacket. It's no, I'm not going to. And she pulls Eddie in, and he's oh, wait, Sam, should we really be? And she's, take off your belt. And I'm like, obviously this is going to be something else, but I love the double entendre thing we're having right here. And then he's just kind of oh, Sam, I just don't think. And she's taking off her bra and everything. And I'm oh. And then it's oh, we need this to get the gun. It's right. I'm okay, dude. Had no idea that was where that was going. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it to because I thought the twist was going to be either they got the wrong person and he was just some weirdo to add them captured or something. But it's no, they got the guy. Because of what Eddie was saying. Because like I said, I was oh, what's the twist going to be? It's no, it was the guy, because Eddie was yeah, he's going to leave. He's going to take the hit off of Todd, but he's still going to come back and kill them because you know my face, you know who I am, and I can't, in his profession, I can't let you slide with that. So that was taken care of. But then lo and behold, Todd's car blows up, and it's okay, so someone else is after him. And I love the whole Sam bringing him to his own funeral thing. I thought that was so neat. I think one of his college roommates is oh yeah, trying to hit on her. And one of the other friends is dude, you're not even fully divorced yet. And even Todd's I'm not even dead a week, and the dude's already trying to bang my wife. What the hell is going on? Because he's almost kind of happy about it and everything. Because he's oh man, he's wow, I'm surprised all these people showed up at my funeral and stuff like that, being happy about his brother's sweet words and stuff like that. And it's oh wow. It's such as this funny, weird circumstances. And I love that this is just a very comedy-filled situation. Because this was after they faked his death, which I thought was kind of interesting too. Also having to bring his wife and child into it. I love that he couldn't tell Lisa himself. It's no, Sam, you go. She's a huge fan of yours, and she'll take it a lot better if it comes from you. Which she does, and even his wife is what the hell? He's doing all of this. She almost had she takes it better than you'd expect it. But I also love that he's honey, it's me, and she's oh my God, Todd, what are you doing here? At his own funeral and stuff like that. It's quite a thing. I thought it was kind of fascinating. In the long run of everything, it turns out that this is kind of a bigger. At first, it seems like it might be a much bigger thing, because it turns out the smoke detectors are almost kind of a listening device, especially if you hack into them. And it's oh man, this is a corporate, his boss, his CEO was trying to kill him to shut him up about potentially saying anything. But it's nope, it's actually not them, because the CEO and the kind of fixer dude, Walter, weren't there at the time. So who was? His brother. I was oh man. I was please don't let it be your brother. And it's oh wow, why would his brother want him dead? And it turns out that this is all about the fact is that it's like you weren't there for most of your life, like this great life you had, your kids, your wife, you were so busy working. I was the one there. I helped out the kids, I taught them how to do this, I taught them to do that homework and stuff like that. I was their support, like, you know, consoling your wife and stuff like that. They're more my family than they were you, which is so shitty on his part. It's like, you know why I never got married and had my own family? Because technically I already had one when I was taking care of yours. It's like you never, it's almost like you didn't appreciate the life you had, so I'm taking it from you. It's like, but still, that's your brother, no matter what the circumstances. Because for him, it's just kind of like, this is the life I deserve. This is my life. It's no longer yours, so screw you. I don't care. It's like, that's kind of sad that that's coming from your own brother. Because in his mind, it's like, you can never change. It's like, even after finding out about your illness, what did you do? You became so focused on that rather than become a better person, because he used the same smoke detectors to hack in and listen and being, which also kind of sad too, because that's why he said all those sweet things he said, because it's like, oh yeah, because he knew his brother would be there listening, because he knew about the whole, like, well, I didn't know if he didn't know about his brother being at the funeral. He knew about his brother faking his death, sure, but man, that's just kind of sad. It really hit him hard as like his own brother would like set him up like that. So it is kind of crazy that kind of really quickly the whole like faking his death situation, that was like Sam's plan, and even Chris was like, yeah, she can see the logic in it, and you almost have to be like, really, you can? Holy crap. It's also kind of neat to see that there isn't any real awkwardness between them, because even Chris makes jokes, and she's like, oh yeah, I should return this to you guys, when she returned the bra and belt. It's like, how long were you guys in there? And she's smiling about it and everything. So, but even when it was all said and done, Todd was still kind of like, yeah, you know, no matter what he tried to do, trying to kill me multiple times, because initially it's like, well, to be fair, he tried to kill you technically twice. He did it with the bomb and the gas leak. The other attempts were all, you know, the assassin. So it's not that bad. I mean, it still sucks majorly, and it is pretty bad. Let's not try to justify it being like, oh, it could be worse. It's like, let's just leave it at the fact is that it's a sucky situation that just sucked. So it's kind of sad in the end. But even then, like, you know, Todd's like, no, I'm going to let my family, like, you know, he's still my brother, so I don't want him to spend the rest of his life in jail. So that's kind of interesting. He's still kind of looking after his brother, even after all of this. It was kind of what I really appreciated too was at the end though, like Monica finished her assessment, because he had been asking multiple times, like, no, what does that mean? What does that mean? You know, because for him it's kind of like, he's almost kind of like, yeah, just because you want things, you know, because kind of like life can kind of screw you over anyway, because she was asking all these psychological things, questions to kind of help him figure out who he was. But at the end, he was like, I don't want the results. I know who I am. Because at first, when he said, I don't want the results, she's like, no, my results didn't say that you would say that. So it kind of shows you a little bit that he is going against the grain, that, you know, he is kind of a different person, that he is taking this second, I guess you can make arguably third or fourth chance, because, I mean, especially a lot of attempts that were on his life, obviously, the bomb, he got away with minimal injury, the gas leak. It's also interesting too, because he's like, no, like Eddie was like, no, that's new. He's like, yeah, but those things are they're based on why they are connected to Wi-Fi and they're super hackable. And you have Sam and Eddie look at each other, probably like, yeah, you should probably they didn't say it, but it's probably implying like, yeah, you should get rid of that thing immediately. Because outside of this situation, we need to look into like what can be hacked and what can't, you know, so. But I thought it was kind of pretty interesting. I am curious though what Monica did discover during her psychological test, but I guess we'll never find out. So that is something I would like to get a peek at, but nevertheless. But what I also thought was kind of an interesting aspect to this episode was the whole aspect of like, well, it put things kind of in more perspective of like, oh yeah, like almost dying and stuff like that, especially Sam and Eddie almost died and going up against an assassin and well, hitman like that. And, you know, kind of learn more about Eddie's situation. I mean, for one, Eddie, it's like he had an incident when he was 15 years old, so he hasn't really surfed anymore because he almost died because of it. And, you know, it came up the question of like, oh yeah, well, what, you know, what's on your list? Because Sam's got quite a few things on her list. Granted, we don't know what those things are, but maybe we kind of will in the future. But Eddie doesn't really have a list of his own, just because it's kind of like whatever he did, kind of like any dreams or aspirations I guess he once had, he kind of ended up letting them go. I do appreciate that Sam being like, oh my God, what happened next? You know, after almost drowning when his friends found him face down, and Warner's like, oh, what happened after that? He's like, I survived. It's like, duh, I'm right here. And she's like, well, duh, I know, but you know, I just love that. But nevertheless, it's like she ends up tracking down his board later on, his exact board that he ended up giving to a neighbor, which like it just went through a lot of different people's hands, and she brought it back to him, and she's like, yeah, you know, because she saw how much surfing kind of was important to him, but after that one incident kind of scared him away from it. But it's like, you can't let, near-death experiences and stuff like that kind of keep you from what you're passionate about. I guess it's kind of what it's implying. So I thought that's kind of a nice gesture and everything, and her even kind of making a joke of like, oh, if you want to, you can see me in a bikini, once you start surfing again. And he's like, oh, surf's up. So it's just kind of like, and like I said, they are taking those steps to kind of like, after what Chris said last episode, I'm sure Eddie and Sam are kind of looking at each other in a different light. I mean, obviously they already kind of cared about each other already, but I think we are seeing those steps kind of taken forward to be like, oh yeah, this and that. Like there might be potential for more, but we'll see in the long run whether anything comes about it or not. Like I said, just a crazy episode with a lot of twists and turns like that. It's just, like I said, a lot of fun went down in this episode. So I'm very curious to see what the next episode has in store for us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.